Hello, everyone. It is Jordyn Smith, the voice and the astrologer for this YouTube channel, Nonconformist Conscience. Today, I am going to go over your weekly forecast. I'm back in the swing of doing these, and I love doing these. It's what I started off doing. I'm not going to write a written report for this just because I am going to leave that to other, you know, uh, other transits. I've been like figuring out the way that I really want to structure how I do this. If you haven't checked out the video of me going over the asteroid Aletheia, it is the first in a series of asteroid goddesses that I'm going over. I'm really excited to be doing this series for this YouTube channel. Um, we look at the discovery chart and the archetypes and uh, I talked about Aletheia the other week. She's the first one I'm really diving into. Next week, I believe Friday, a new episode will come out where I talk about Hecate, so you can look out for those weekly. The other series that I'm going to start putting out weekly is going over the astrological archetypal nature of a house. A lot of you guys have reached out. You want to know, you want to learn. So I'm going to put out a series of me going through the 12 houses for you guys, and those will come out weekly as well. So I hope you enjoy that. I hope it's helpful. I will totally be going over the weekly astrology forecast still, and also new moons, full moons, and if there's, a deeper conversation to be had, I will put those videos out as well. Just to let you know, a couple of things before I dive into this is Aquarius, it is your birthday special until the 20th of this month, and then it's going to switch over to Pisces. The thing that I want to say about this is last year I started doing the birthday specials for the first time, and I started with Taurus. Once I do Aries, I'm not going to be doing a birthday special anymore. I just wanted to do it for that year. And because of like clients and other things, I'm no longer going to be doing the birthday specials. Maybe I'll do them later on down the road, but I did want to give you guys an update on that. And it's almost been a full year of me doing that. And so for anyone who's come and seen me for a birthday special, I really appreciate you, and I can't wait to meet more Aquarius, Pisces, and Aries. Um, and then it'll stop because I started with Taurus last year. So you will see specials for like the eclipses and things like that. I'll still put out specials, don't worry. But that one, it's going to be done and over with after Aries. So I wanted to give you guys a heads up. So without further ado, oh, last thing. I did do another sign up for working with uh, the nodal axis of Virgo and Pisces workshop. It's a 1-day workshop. It's a couple hours long. It's only open to 5 people. There's 4 spaces left. If you want to book that because you didn't get to book the first one, just scroll down on my booking page to like the second session or that I opened up for people if they missed out on the first one and they want to do that. And we will be utilizing your own natal charts during that workshop. So you'll fill out the form that asks for your birth information. Um, so yeah, there's that. All right, without further ado, I'm done now with announcements. Let's talk about this week, February 1st to February 7th. Today, we have Venus, Neptune, the North Node, and the Moon all in Pisces. Excuse me. The Moon has been passing over Neptune, Venus, and the North Node. I think it's about to go into Aries as I'm talking. But let me show you this chart and I'll pull it down and then we'll talk about it and I'll go throughout this week for you guys. So I live in Oklahoma. I'm just going to keep it to the signs of these and the aspects that they're making. So this is going to be at 8:51 p.m. Central Time is when we're going to have these three together. This is right after Neptune went to 28 degrees and is conjunct this north node. Um, Earlier on in the day, I'm talking about the future here. Um, the moon is going to be passing over Neptune at 27, North Node at 28, and Venus at 28. Um, and so, like, if you look at, I'll show you. If you look at this is at 6:51 Central, 5:51. So when we get to 8:51, that's whenever the moon will be in Aries already. But you'll have the North Node, Neptune, and Venus all together. Venus is in a new phase to the North Node. Neptune is right behind it. She's in a new phase to Neptune as well. Um, the other thing that you want to know is that, yeah, Venus and Neptune are opposing this south node that is ruled by Mercury, sandwiched between the Sun and Pluto and Aquarius. And so we need to be talking about this Uranus and also this Jupiter retrograde as well, which is actually trine to the Sun. So let's talk about this. Um, with Mercury in Aquarius ruling that south node in Virgo, I did a video, but just to recap, this is where we're really being called to look at what needs to be purged from within our mental constructs. Aquarius relates to subconscious memories. It also can relate to us projecting past traumatic experiences that can perpetuate South Node and Virgo crisis. I find that this keeps coming up for me. I talked a little bit about it last week, but even yesterday, I was like becoming very cognizant about I was triggered on an internal level and I was about to write something to someone and I was like, wait a second. I'm being triggered. That's not what's happening. That's also pulling in Uranus and Taurus, ruling this Mercury and Pluto and the Sun is really, we're supposed to be Sun self-actualizing through objectifying prior instances that could be traumatic, that where we're projecting them onto the present moment, and to really liberate from this and to nurture ourselves from within in order to fortify that Taurus inner relationship to self, to have this transformative process. So Mercury in Aquarius ruling the South Node in Virgo is helping us to objectify these dynamics of where we've had past crisis, or if we're kind of living in crisis, or it's getting us to confront and to objectify and observe, are we staying within this kind of victimized mindset that we didn't realize we're staying in, right? We're complaining, we're talking about things, but we're not making an action that can really reflect when we're in a victimized mindset. And so it's wanting us to really objectify this so we can liberate from this type of thinking. Aquarius is also where we are needing to liberate from um, over identifying with conditioning. And our conditioning, if we've had a lot of traumatic experiences or crisis, we could be over identifying with it, even on a sensory level. That's why so many of us right now, our nervous systems are dysregulated, and we're needing to really tap in and use that Uranus and Taurus to ground in order to objectify what is going on a sensory level. So that way we can understand how we are mentally processing things, and to really observe that and to see, do we need to liberate from something? With Mercury ruling Jupiter retrograde in the sign of Gemini, it's really helping us to objectify these belief systems and that have been learned, and to throw them off, especially if we've over-identified with them, how they could be showing up in our everyday life, and the minutia. And then it helps us to really connect with and relearn and recover what is natural for each one of us, what feels authentic, and to replace it with that, and then to live that out. So then that gets me to, this Venus, North Node, Neptune, all in Pisces conjunction. Remembering that Venus is the ruler of Uranus and Taurus, Neptune is the higher octave of Venus. And I really like this. It's beautiful energy. We'll be feeling it throughout the week, even as Venus moves out of the sign of Pisces, because Venus is going to retrograde back over these degrees. And so what this is doing is in tandem with this Virgo, Mercury in Aquarius, Jupiter in Gemini retrograde, which Jupiter is going to be stationing soon, um, is this really gives us this healing quality of, as we observe and we have these aha moments about how we've structured things and how it correlates to how we inwardly relate to ourselves, Taurus. It can help us liberate from these past experiences, but it can also give us faith and hope and see a vision for the future, with this triple conjunction. And as the moon is going over the North Node, Neptune, and Venus throughout today, and into the evening, it's helping us to connect with these emotional dynamics of where we really want to heal and where we could see a vision for ourselves and how to really nurture ourselves from within. It can help us really connect with, more natural, spiritual cosmologies and value systems. And what this is doing is it's also helping us as we are dissolving these old ways of inwardly relating to ourselves, Taurus. It's helping us tap into that Neptune, the higher octave of Venus, and really become self-reliant. And that's done through transforming the ways in which we think and have classified things. Um, and it promotes healing and, like I said, a vision. This is going to be really seated into our consciousness right now. It's helping us recall on past experiences of, you know, where maybe we've experienced disillusionment or crisis, and it's helping us to understand how far that we've come and to really culminate these dynamics that started back when the nodes were in Libra and Aries. And so now it's helping us almost be like in this cosmic womb. And then as Venus enters into the sign of Aries, it's helping us to initiate a new birthing of how we inwardly relate. And then as she stations retrograde later on, it's like these seeds of change will then be worked on further. It gives us a deeper process of working on it. So whatever's going on right now, it really can bring healing and a vision of the future. And just know that as you work on this, Venus, once she goes retrograde, will really help us to kind of suss this out, and to work on it, to wrap it up. But it is helping us, if you think about the North Node, indicating the choices that we need to make, and the South Node in Virgo representing prior experiences that we could be reliving in order to resolve them. That Venus and that Neptune are now opposing that too, which really emphasizes through the opposition, what are the choices that you're wanting to make in order to, one, spiritualize Neptune, in order to connect with what is deeper on an internal level, on an emotional level, and how you want to connect with how you inwardly relate to yourself, Venus. What are the aspirations? What are the visions within how you want to heal? So, whatever is coming up through that South Node of Virgo right now for you, that Mercury is asking for you to objectify it. And Venus and Neptune are speaking to cultivating new choices over your own relational dynamics, how you inwardly relate to yourselves, the way you relate with others, and also your spiritual relationship. It's planting these seeds, and the dynamic with the opposition is you can either oppose the past, the South Node, Virgo, by making these new choices around these areas in your life, or you can oppose the future by continuing to do the same thing that you've done in the past. And eventually that can result in some uncomfortableness, but it will eventually get you to where you need to go. My suggestion is to use this energy now. Um, if you are understanding and having deep insight into your own healing, um, and you're seeing or having an aspiration of a dream or a goal or vision of the choice that you need to make, that is the call right now, is to utilize this energy to start initiating that. And that's also seen with the moon moving over all of these spots in Pisces. And then at the, later in the evening, it's entering Aries. It's helping us to emotionally nurture ourselves. That's what the moon's about, how we emotionally nurture ourselves. And this is asking for us to act on the desires um, around this. And, the moon will be ruled by Mars retrograde in Cancer. They're going to be a mutual reception. This is speaking to acting on um, those desires of the vision you see for your own emotional patterns and what you want for your future, how you go about healing this, how you go about utilizing what you're integrating on an emotional level to nurture yourself and to also, um, have a vision for your future. So it's just restating it. I love the energy of this. So then on, I'm going to share this again to show. Then tomorrow, let's see. Okay. Oh, I am messing up here. Give me just a second. Um, then tomorrow, yes, there we go. Sorry about that. Then tomorrow, we will have, like I said, I want to point this out because this is still going to be here. This Venus is in a new phase to Neptune, to the North Node and to Neptune. So it's really reflecting like we're wanting to start a new cycle by initiating something through making a new choice around how we want to inwardly relate to ourselves in a different way that's really positive, that can uh, be rooted, that should be rooted in self-reliance. All right. So it's actually changing the center of gravity of our consciousness. Remembering that Saturn is in Pisces, and this has been about restructuring our consciousness. The way that we are doing this is through implementing this for our own inner relationship to self. The moon is going to sextile. Here it is. This Jupiter. I love this. Um, Last quarter sextile. And so what this is doing is with the moon being ruled by, well, and mutual reception to Mars retrograde, as we initiate this, this is helping us to further throw off these old beliefs or things that feel inauthentic to us that we've come to understand, because now we're putting action to cultivate new emotional patterns that really establish this dynamic. It's also about initiating being emotionally honest and authentic and learning about that from within and taking what we've been learning to integrate it. The sextile it's about integration of these emotional dynamics that are of our authenticity. So that Jupiter and Gemini retrograde has really been helping us to understand where we could have been living a living lie in different areas of our lives, maybe being a little duplicitous. I'm going to appear this way, but behind closed doors, I really feel this way. So there's this need to come out of hiding, to liberate from that. And then it's also about initiating Um, Taking that information that we've learned and utilizing it to perpetuate and cultivate new choices and a path of action to take. Um, Mercury is the ruler of this Jupiter, so it's really helping us to continue to objectify these dynamics of truth versus belief, what's been learned, what I want to learn, where I need to liberate, where I need to connect more with my higher mind and my intuition. This is coming up for you all. And again, it filters back into Uranus because Uranus is the ruler of Pluto, Mercury, and the Sun, and also Ceres. This is where we could be recovering um, our higher intelligence through our intuition right now as a way to transform further our inner relationship to self, meaning how we're inwardly relating is with that Venus ruling that conjunct that North Node and a new phase. It's really asking for us to start this new path of healing through all of this work that we've been doing. And then let's see here. So, yeah, it's this where we're needing to integrate what we've been learning about our authentic natures and utilizing our intuition to blaze a path or to open a path. So we're really being called to listen to our inner voice right now and what ideas are seeded into our consciousness, because that's actually directing us forward into a different way of relating to ourselves. When we learn to relate to ourselves in a different way, in a healing way, in a natural way, in an authentic way that's based in truth, this shifts the center of gravity of our ego and our soul. And it's really where Venus can tap into that higher octave of Neptune. So I love this. On the 3rd, Jupiter is going to be stationing. It won't move direct until the 4th, but it will be stationing. And the reason why I bring this up is when Jupiter or any planet is stationing, it's like adding an exclamation point to the energy of that planet by sign, because it's appearing to stand still in the sky. As Jupiter is stationing, it's going to be in conjunct Vesta, in the sign of Scorpio. So Vesta's pulling in Pluto in Aquarius, and Jupiter's pulling in Mercury in Aquarius, who they're technically still conjunct. So both of their rulers are conjunct, and then there's an inconjunct happening between Jupiter and Vesta. So let me break this down for you. Vesta is where we devote ourselves um, to some type of spiritual um, cosmology. It's also where we can be very experience creation and to devote ourselves to the transformative process of creation from within that helps of a regeneration from within on our internalized level, how we're relating to ourselves. Um, and with her ruled by Pluto and Aquarius, but her being in Scorpio, it's helping us get to the bottom of how we want to share, how we want to co-create. That in conjunct to Jupiter is where it has a Virgo-like feel to it. It's where we're needing to improve upon how we share our resources with others, and how we co-create with others, and the need to do it in an authentic way, and to remember that we need to continue to learn about this. And with their rulers, conjunct in the sign of Aquarius, ruled by that Uranus and Taurus, this is really where we can have this transformative process on a soul level when we devote ourselves to continuing to look at what's behind the curtain and how we want to show up in the world, how we want to express ourselves. Mercury. where we need to liberate from different dynamics that could be impeding upon us co-creating or having a regenerative quality of experiencing creation from within, and how we're needing to tap into our intuition and to improve upon that. And as we do so, again, it pulls in Uranus and Taurus. We relate to ourselves in a different way. So massive transformation is underway with this energy. And you need to remember Uranus is not going to be in Taurus for that much longer. So it's really anything that's getting funneled into Uranus and Taurus is truly wanting us to access a different way of inwardly relating. That way it can then be projected out, and it can help us to attract different dynamics, and also to help us to understand ourselves deeper through, if we're attracting the same thing all the time, at some point it caps out, right? And so these energies of this week and further later on, especially while Uranus is in Taurus, is truly about transforming our inner vibration of what we attract, because it's ruled by Venus. And so it's wanting us to evolve and to speed up our evolution through individuating. This is that Pluto Aquarius, the Sun in Aquarius, Mercury in Aquarius right now. It's wanting us to speed up our evolution. And a way to do that is when we cultivate a different way of inwardly relating, and we utilize this Vesta to implement the what we feel is authentic, Jupiter, what we've been learning about, and we devote ourselves to this. It can really spark a flame within that is regenerative, and then it helps us pull in this Uranus, transform through creating a different way of attracting people. Because when we start attracting different types of people, it gives us a different counterpoint to further individuate in order to evolve more, because it's something that's new. So there can be a sudden burst or different dynamics that happen suddenly. You meet someone, you connect with someone, someone's that you've never attracted this type of person before, whether it be friends or whatever. What that's really reflecting is your own growth, and it's also reflecting how you are transforming, and it's perpetuating more transformation, meaning evolution. And it's helping one to really understand who you are and who you aren't as you evolve. I'm going to take this out. That's not comfortable anymore. I'm going to integrate this back in, and or I'm going to integrate this because now this is feeling authentic to my own evolutionary path. And Vesta is really helping us metamorphose all of this. And is keeping that going within each one of us, and it is regenerative. And so I just want to speak to that. Um, on the 4th, Venus is going to enter Aries. She will be ruled by Mars retrograde. Mars is going to be squaring Chiron in Aries at that time. The moon is going to be in Taurus and squaring Pluto as well, and Mercury is going to be trining Jupiter. Got a lot going on there. Let me pull up this chart so that way you can see this. This might not be the exact time, but you will be able to get a look at this. So Venus entering Aries, ruled by Mars retrograde, square to Chiron and Aries. Jupiter is stationing direct, will be direct. Um, this Taurus moon is going to be square to the sun, square to Mercury. So, and Mercury is going to be trining Jupiter earlier in the day. What is this saying? So, one, Venus and Aries kind of went over this, is really reflecting, initiating a new way of inwardly relating to oneself. And how that's done is through the facilitator Mars and Cancer, ruled by that moon in Taurus. Again, you're in a relationship. Um, it's having us look at and initiate a different way of emotionally relating to ourselves in order to connect deeper with how to be emotionally self-reliant. With Mars squaring Chiron, this is the last square that it's making to Chiron. It's third and final one. This is really helping us to change our awareness around the old wounds that have been coming up. Um, for the past 3.5 months. And as we do that and we change our awareness around the wounds, especially if you felt victimized or you've been dealing with guilt, shame, judgment, and you've really been trying to understand how this has had a psychological and emotional impact on you, now it's helping you to initiate a different way of relating to the wound and then of relating to yourself on an inner level. And with Jupiter trine Mercury, this is really helping us to further liberate from these constructs of past thinking and how it's perpetuated different dynamics, how it's linked to a belief that could be perpetuating how we live out crisis or past trauma in our lives. And so this is really initiating, hey, now let's get the show on the road. Let's start relating to ourselves differently through liberating from that which is not serving us. Because if you've been consciously utilizing all of this, then you've been objectifying where you've over-identified with different dynamics of the past, and you've probably been having a lot of dots connecting and awareness around this. This is going to continue to happen throughout this week. Vesta is still in conjunct this Jupiter that is trining Mercury, and Vesta is square this Mercury. This is truly helping us it's asking for action to continue to devote ourselves to getting to the bottom of our emotional and psychological dynamics, and then to utilize that to have a metamorphosis through having utilizing it to create something different. All right. And that square to Mercury is saying we need to act on this dynamic and to utilize this for metamorphosis and transformation of our mental constructs. And then that Jupiter in conjunct to Vesta is helping us to improve upon this through getting to the bottom of recovering what is actually authentic and true. All right. And um, with Jupiter trining that Mercury, this is where, on an intuitive level, we could have deep insights and ideas about the journey, Jupiter, the path forwards of how to move. Um, and Jupiter is now station direct. So it's helping us to not have to continuously revisit this, but to now put into action what it is that we were meant to integrate during this Jupiter retrograde cycle, and this time period. So I love this. The energy for this week is great. Um, and then for some, Jupiter is going to go direct on the 5th. It just kind of depends where you are at in the world. I wanted to mention that. But essentially, from the 3rd to the 4th or the 5th, it's really, whenever it's stationed, it's going to really emphasize and make us aware. It can magnify it since it's Jupiter, where we're really needing to have that final liberation of a belief. It can really help us understand the why. And then as it moves direct, it can help us to implement and to integrate all that we've been working on. And then it's not until the 7th that we will have Mars retrograde trining Saturn. Mars will be in conjunct the Sun in Aquarius, and the Moon will conjunct Jupiter, and Uranus will square Ceres. So let me show you this, and then I will uh, talk about it. So earlier in the day, the moon is going to conjunct Jupiter. All right, just keep that in mind. Mars is doing its last trine to Saturn, which is ruled by this Neptune. That's in this new, it's passed over the North Node. Um, Mars is going to be in conjunct the Sun. That's in a gibbous inconjunct, by the way. It's going to be in conjunct this Mercury too, which is in a full phase inconjunct, so a little bit different energy. And then we've got Uranus square to Ceres. So keeping this in mind. All right, let's break this down to finalize your week. So with Mars trining Saturn, Saturn in the sign of Pisces, Neptune has now moved over the North Node. Mars is ruled by that moon in Gemini, which was conjunct Jupiter. This to me is really where we can have deep intuitive insight about the future for ourselves and to start to understand the desires that we have on an emotional level to create action that helps implement this and to be more it's helping with us to connect more emotionally with the path that we are intuiting that we need to go on, how to move forwards. Mars is going to be stationing direct soon. So this is also Mars trining that Saturn really can bring in a lot of healing qualities with Neptune passing over that North Node. There are choices up for grab. There are things that can come up this day where you're needing to tap into your intuition, what is resonating on a soul level, what choice you need to take. And if you do that with that trine, it really helps to clear a path that is really healing. With Uranus square Ceres at that time, Uranus is the ruler of that series. Um, Uranus is ruled by Venus and Aries. This is really helping us to create action. It's where we could all of a sudden be like, I don't know what to believe in a little bit. But if you are stuck in a place of not knowing the path to take and you feel like it's a crisis in your belief, even though on an internal level you're being guided to go this way, what you need to do is you need to lean into that curve of feeling fear because it's actually speaking to standing on the precipice of more growth. The fear is stemming from you're about to do something that you haven't done before. And what this can truly do with Ceres and Aquarius is it can help one recover community. It can help one recover fragmentation from past traumatic experiences. Uranus and Taurus is helping one to transform their inner relationship. And with Venus and Aries, it's helping to initiate this dynamic of relating to oneself on a different level, which could be a little bit uncomfortable because it's new. And with Saturn trining Mars and Cancer, these emotional dynamics are coming up for you to make a new choice that will promote healing. And it's also speaking to really beneficial energies of an ease of integration once you create that action. Now, when Mercury, not Mercury, but whenever Venus goes retrograde, it can be where there could be a little bit of improvement needing to be made. But you're not going to know what you need to improve until you take a Aries Mars action first. And from that action, you'll receive feedback. And from that feedback, you will be able to then improve. And that is what is really being highlighted with Mars in conjunct the Sun and Mercury as well. Mars in conjunct the Sun and a gibbous phase is speaking to as you create this action, it's going to give you feedback in order to understand what more needs to be liberated from and also what more needs to be self-actualized in a creative process. All right. And then with Mars in conjunct Mercury and a full phase in conjunct, this is where that feedback you receive can actually be from someone expressing it. And it's where like your will and their will could be colliding. They may be experiencing the same thing or a past experience on an emotionally different level. And so the call is to listen to where that person is coming from and to not over-identify with how they're not seeing eye to eye with you, but to really look at the feedback that you're given as a way to see how it can be utilized for you to improve upon the ways in which you relate to yourself differently and then to cultivate different expression. This can also be a dynamic where someone is triggering some past dynamic. And so there's a need, again, with that Mercury and Aquarius, and it is in conjunct that Mars, it can trigger these emotional dynamics. And so it's really important to utilize this as a test to not relate to the same situation as you did the past, to look at it objectively and with new eyes, even if the same dynamics are being triggered from within on an emotional and a sensory level. Um, and that can help with this like recovery process with Uranus square series. Again, Mars, retrograde trining that Saturn. It cultivates this healing whenever we um, look at this objectively and we tap into that emotional body. And with Neptune ruling that Saturn, crossing over the North Node, it's giving us a point of focus for us to make a new choice. So something from the past is coming up, and the way to improve upon it is through utilizing all of these dynamics to purge that and to cultivate new choices around how we inwardly relate, how we want to heal. Um, and it brings not just healing, but transformation. So this week I like this week's energy for everyone. I feel like for some it could be a bit tough if these are aspecting different areas in your chart through like squares or conjunctions, but ultimately this is a week that initiates a new way of relating. It's planting the seeds for us to dive deeper into them once Venus um, enters her retrograde. And also, we've got some lovely energy with Jupiter stationing direct because it's helping us implement a lot of the truth that about ourselves that we've been learning and discovering and now integrating it in order for us to really open up a path on an intuitive level to have this journey of understanding ourselves and relating to ourselves differently. This week has the propensity for us to attract people, prior instances, and new people, and we get to make a choice. How do we want to continue relating to the past, to the present in order to cultivate change in the future? Um, so there's a lot up for grabs, but a lot of it is healing. And the crux is if you get stuck in past dynamics and you stay rooted in a more shame, guilt, inaction, non-solution, um, rumination, that's where you could miss the mark this week. And so it's really learning how to surrender and just through accepting, like, yeah, I'm ruminating here because there's something that's going on that's being brought up, but I don't want to relate to this dynamic in the same way that I always have. I want to relate to it in a different way. I want to heal this. That way I can move forwards. Um, and essentially it's about being authentic, right? And I love the energy of Vesta and Ceres this week. They're really helping to stabilize through us having a regenerative quality around our individuality and around inner metamorphosis of prior psychological and emotional dynamics. And I love the Pisces energy connecting to the Cancer energy. There's just a lot of healing that can happen whenever we consciously utilize this, and utilizing that Mercury and Aquarius to like observe this. Like, hey, okay, I feel the call to do a past pattern, but I'm having the awareness to not do that. So I'm going to make a different choice that's actually going to liberate me from this. Um, so I hope that this helps all of you all, and I look forward to connecting with more of you. Um, Next week, we are going to have a lunation, and I will be talking about that. And be on the lookout for the first in the series of the archetypal nature of the houses. The first one I'm going to be going over is the first house. So I look forward to seeing more of you. And, comment. I love interacting with you guys, and I will see you soon. Have a very healing week that is full of deep insights. Um, yeah.